nice to see all these faces. How are you? You may be wondering, who do they get to follow the founder of Uber? It's me, baby. I'm Lisa Q. Fetterman, and I'm the founder of Nomiku. I control everything that goes into your mouth. We are here to eradicate every obstacle between you and a delicious plate of food. So what we make here at Nomiku is that we do the hardware, software, and goods for today's connected kitchen. Who here knows what sous vide is? Yes? OK, great. For those of you who know, Mazel Tov, and I invented that in 2012, the home sous vide immersion circulator. For those of you who don't know, what are you sleeping on? You've been eating sous vide all of your lives and haven't known. So I'm having a little trouble with my clicker, but I really don't need it, because I got the story already inside of my head. Oh, here we go. So here's what we make. The immersion circulator itself, our app called Tender, which controls our IoT device, is the largest sous vide community on Earth. And then we also make the frozen food to go with it. We have a mechanism where you take the frozen food that we send you, you wave it in front of your device, and it recognizes the time and temperature. Sous vide is precise temperature cooking that every single top chef in the world uses. And all of them use Nomiku, whether it's Noma or Seisan, restaurant on Meadowwood, your favorite 3 Michelin star restaurant in Tokyo. They all use my machine because it creates the best results possible with minimal effort. All you do is put your food inside of a bag and then put it in the water and walk away. That's it. Our app tells you when it's ready. So the biggest sous vide revolution to come before us was the microwave. And it came at a very opportune time. This is Doris here. In the late 1960s, early 1970s, she was getting into a lot of trouble. She was becoming a part of a dual-income household, but all of the domestic work still all fell on her, which meant she had to take care of the dogs, wash the dishes, watch the kids. And it's so different today. Am I right, ladies and dudes? There's usually one person that gets stuck with all the household chores. And at that time, they all had to cook, and cooking took a very long time. So the microwave came out, and it actually flopped. People didn't know how to use it. They're like, what is the use case? Microwave manufacturers were saying, hey, take a potato, take a fork, stab that potato with a fork, put it in the microwave, ta-da! And everybody's like, no, it's OK, I can pop it in the oven. It wasn't until the advent of the ecosystem of the microwave, the containers that are safe to go inside the microwave, and the frozen food that it popped off. It became adopted faster than the cell phone, the internet, and the home computer. Through 1970 to 1975, it grew 2x annually. Today, the US market for microwaves more or less plateaus at 2.5 billion. 2.5 million is like what I made last year. 2.5 billion in hardware and 9 billion in frozen ready meals. And the reason for that is people like Faye here want a lot more. So people today know that microwave food doesn't taste good, and they have way less time, especially if you have kids. So what people do these days is that they clip their Nomiku onto a pot that they already own, and then they go to work. It pasteurizes their food for the whole entire day, and all they have to do is come back and eat their food. So the Nomiku clips onto a pot that you already own. This is Faye. She works at the hospital and has 2 kids under the age of 3. She uses the Nomiku ecosystem every day to get dinner on the table. And all she has to do is drop her food inside of the water, and that's it. She also hosts killer dinner parties. You can host up to like 6 people or more. All you have to do is put your food inside of a bag and put it in the water, and that's it. And people are using Nomiku because, one, it's super, super convenient. You can just clip it onto a pot that you already own. Our device doesn't have to go on to anything special. The next thing that people love is that everything is cooked at below 100 degrees Celsius, which means that you're maintaining all the vitamins and minerals. And because we're pasteurizing, that means that it's safe for people who are immune compromised and people who have special dietary needs, like people with autism. Sometimes they can't process the textures of regular food, and they want the same consistency. And we're able to provide that consistency every time. For all of those reasons, sous vide is growing 2.5x annually, surpassing the growth of the microwave. So what that means is that we've already beat Steve Jobs in how much we've shipped in sous vide devices versus the Apple I computer. And we started like this. I worked for the most elite restaurants in San Francisco and New York. I worked under Mario Batali and Jean-Georges. If it had a Michelin star, I was there. And I would stage at the local restaurants. Staging is a fancy word for doing work for free. And when you did that, you got to learn all the recipes of the chefs. What I found that was very, very peculiar, and amazing was that every single Michelin star chef's kitchen that I went to had this huge hulking piece of laboratory equipment. And it cost thousands of dollars. I was like, oh my God, this thing is amazing. It's cooking the most delicious food I've ever had in my life. And anybody can use it, from a lowly grand manger meaning salad maker, to the executive chef. All you had to do was put your food inside of a bag and put it in the water. I'm like the set it and forget it Ronco guy. I say this a lot. So I was like, oh my gosh, I really, really want one. How much is it? It turned out they were $2,000. Pretty pricey, especially on somebody who was staging, aka working for free. So I started saving up my money. I begged my landlord, like, yo, can you let me pay you 2 weeks late? I gotta buy something for work. And on my way to doing this, I met a guy who is now my CTO, co-founder, and baby daddy. And that's him right there. He's Abe. In Japan, he's called Abe. And he has his PhD in astrophysics, plasma physics. He was like, what are you saving up money for? I'm like, well, I'm saving up money to make my own sous vide, to buy my own sous vide machine. He was like, oh, we could just make one together. So we did, and then we traveled to hacker spaces all across the United States and internationally in Shenzhen to teach people how to make their own DIY open source sous vide kits, to the point where we got national acclaim and was invited to the White House as honored makers. Eventually, we were like, oh my gosh, people are willing to spend $100 on this kit, another $100 on this class, and then spend 6 hours soldering a piece of hardware together. I think that if we just made it for them, they would appreciate it and it would bring real value. And so we moved to China, right next to our factory, and then we lived there. We would literally flick on the light switches, and then we created the first ever home sous vide immersion circulator. We had our prototype 1 week before our wedding, and we begged our wedding videographers, like, please, could you help us make a Kickstarter video? We've made over $1.5 million on Kickstarter and became the #1 most funded project in our category that year. After that, we were like, this is going to be a real company. We started shipping the Nomiku version 1. We started shipping the Nomiku version 1, and people were like, hey, Lisa, how do you cook this? What time and temperature is that? And I would just literally drive over to their houses and cook dinner with them together. After about 300 of these home visits, I was like, this is not sustainable. I need basically a software version of me. And that's how we came up with our Wi-Fi version. The Nomiku Classic also had over 100 pieces. It was made in China. It was hydrosonically welded, which, you know, if you're a hardware manufacturer or you dabble in hardware, this is not the most elegant solution to go. We're like, we're going to streamline it so much in our second version that we're going to be able to add a software Lisa inside to help you cook, and we're going to be able to manufacture in the United States. By that time, we had spent 2 years in China. That's a long time away from home, and we were homesick. We're like, let's just start a factory in San Francisco. And luckily, we had the government connections to kick it off. The thing about our Wi-Fi Nomiku is that we streamlined it. It's still around a bunch of pieces, but once it's once it's partly assembled, it's 8 pieces that you click together. Click, 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 click. And then after that, we are releasing May 1st our new program of hardware, software, and goods where they are aligned together. Whereas in China, we had to do over 100 pieces and do the waterfall manufacturing method, we would have a lot of yield loss. Like if something went wrong, we weren't able to stop the line. Now in America, when we manufacture in San Francisco, we're able to stop the line just like Toyota is able to stop the line if something goes wrong. And we're able to have almost 0% yield loss. I'd love to talk more with you over at the cafe about how to manufacture your own hardware appliance and the connected kitchen. This year, we partnered with Samsung so that we're part of Home Family Hub. Every Samsung device that you own that has the OS already has the Nomiku app pre-downloaded inside. And you can use your Nomiku directly with all of your Samsung appliances. Thank you, everyone.